Do you want simple steps to level up your mind, body, and spirit, or encouragement as you navigate the challenges of motherhood? Or maybe you need a dose of hope to achieve that goal? Then you've tuned in to the right podcast. This is Keep Blooming, and I'm your host, Liz Montigny. Each week, I'll encourage you to drop the hustle mentality for hope and act on the dreams God has put on your heart. I'm a licensed Ziegler life coach. I've created a theater ministry, and like you, I'm doing all the things as a Catholic, a wife, and a mom to 3 boys. So let's get growing and keep blooming. Hello and welcome to Keep Blooming. This is episode 37. Wow, we are halfway through the year, and that is our topic for today. We are going to talk about how to give yourself that mid-year checkup on your goals and why it's essential. Plus, I have some very important announcements about the future of this podcast, as well as an important deadline on my destination retreat. So stay tuned for all of that. But first, as you know, if you've been listening, I like to kick our conversations off with a little Lectio Divina. And this is Psalm 20, verses 2 through 6. The Lord answer you in time of distress. The name of God of Jacob defend you. May he send you help from the sanctuary, from Zion be your support. May he remember your every offering, graciously accept your burnt offering. Grant what is in your heart, fulfill your every plan. May we shout for joy at your victory, raise the banners in the name of God. The Lord grant your every petition. Well, verses 5 through 6 are my favorite. That's what I hope for you, and that is what I hope for all my clients, is that, God grants what's in your heart and fulfill your every plan when you work with him, and to celebrate that and praise him. And that's great to consider when we are talking about our goals. So we will come back to that reading at the end of our conversation. But this is just an important time, I think, to look ahead. And you have, 6 more months of the year to go in 2023. So guess what? You have plenty of time if you feel like you've fallen behind. But I also want to encourage you to just put that feeling aside. And I think this mid-year assessment will help you do that. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure you have your goals in a prominent place. If you're not already reading them on a daily basis, that's something that I really encourage you to do. It makes a huge difference to have them right top of mind all of the time. So step 1, if you're not doing that, do that. However, pull those out right now and take a look and just take a quick assessment. Hey, where am I on these goals? Something that I'll also consider for you too is if maybe you overplanned, if maybe you have a few too many on that list and you're thinking about what's to come, this might be a time to really narrow down and get super specific. Maybe you need to shift things around or reprioritize. And that's why it's a good time to sit down and do that now. So just take that quick little inventory of where you are. I would also encourage you, as you're doing that, if you haven't already been keeping track, is, think about what your wins are. What are those things that you have accomplished and have felt really good about? And they don't have to be big, grandiose things. The small steps that we do every day add up to big things. So really take that time, if you haven't already been doing it regularly, to just check in on your progress. And then think about what's next. How can you take these goals to the next level? Is there something on there that, as you've gone throughout the year and you're looking at it, You're thinking, you know what? The time frame that I assigned to this is unrealistic, or maybe this is a longer term goal, and I need to just recognize that instead of be frustrated about it. So really take that time and think about, what your challenges have been, what your victories have been, and make sure that the time frame that you allotted for this goal is still realistic. And maybe that brings us to our next point. Maybe this is the time where you need to make a few corrections in the time that we have left in the year, which is still a ton, right? We have half a year going. So maybe there are some things you need to say no to. How can you set some healthy boundaries around that? Is there a project that you know is not serving you or serving others that maybe it's time to just let go of, and just have that important and sometimes, uncomfortable conversation with yourself, right? Make sure that the actions that you are taking actually align with your values. That's where your peace of mind lies. So if there's some friction there, that is going to add to the frustration of meeting your goals. So really take that time and look at that. And very simply, you could think of this in terms of, what do I need to start doing? What do I need to just stop? Okay. And what's going well? What's going right? And how should I keep going? And, how can I make sure to keep going in that area? So that is another part of this mid-year goals assessment to check in on. And, last but not least, know that you still have plenty of time. And I think that's where this kind of assessment, reassessment, realign, if that's what you will, comes in. And I think a lot of the times when we plan at the beginning of the year, we may have some Herculean feats that we think we're going to achieve. I know I used to be that person. And perhaps the reality is that it's smaller, more specific work over time that adds up. So really be sure to take a look at that. And if you are challenged in this area, maybe you're just like, Liz, I don't even have goals, which, you're not alone in. I really encourage you to check the show notes, because I have a link to a very simple goal planner for you. And this not only has a step-by-step action sheet for you to fill in your goals, but it also explains the process of getting your goal from a dream to an actual goal, to an actual achievable thing. And I think that's an important process to sit with. So if you're feeling like, hey, I need a refresher in this area, or you've never done something like this before, I really encourage you to check that goal planner out. Like I said, the link is in the show notes. So before I sign off for a little bit here, let me share two big announcements for you about this podcast. So number one is, I'm going to be out of office on the podcast for the month of July. So you have 37 episodes to scroll back through and listen to on your summer travels. And I'll sit back with you on the first Wednesday in August. So that's number one. Number two, when I return to the podcast, I have an amazing lineup of guests. Now, in the past, I've kind of done a combination of guests and just chatting with you solo. And going forward, I really wanted to make sure that we were having some really interesting conversations on all sorts of topics. So I reached out to some virtual networking groups that I'm in, and I got an amazing response. So I'm excited to share that with you. I, in fact, got such a big response. It was actually, in a sense, more than I was planning on, and I could have said no. And when I looked through who responded, I decided, no, I wanted my listeners to hear from these people. And I also realized, oh my goodness, by doing this and recording all these interviews over the summer, once school starts up again, I will have successfully batch worked my podcast for the year. So that was actually super exciting to me. So I can't wait for you to meet these women and hear what they have to share with you on so many different topics on career and relationships and all sorts of things. So I'm excited for that. So like I said, I'll be back with you in August. And then last but not least, I want to make sure that if you have been considering coming on my destination retreat, Restore, in San Miguel, Azores, that you hop off that fence and get onto that plane, because the deadline to register is August 1st. It's flying by. So don't forget to do that. The link is in the show notes. We're there October 1st through the 8th. You're going to get Soul Core Rosary sessions, masterminds with me, and then afternoon and evenings are perfectly planned by an expert travel planner, and you're going to enjoy farm and sea to table food, and just the island is just truly a paradise, and it's only a 4.5-hour flight from Boston. So if you are really looking to invest in yourself, level up your mind, body, and spirit, and really just take yourself out of the familiar, and do that for yourself, I really encourage you to register for this retreat, because time is running short. Okay, so let's go back to our reading, and this is so perfect for our goal planning. And again, this is Psalm 20, verses 2 through 6. The Lord answer you in times of distress. The name of the God of Jacob defend you. May he send you help from the sanctuary. From Zion be your support. May he remember your every offering, graciously accept your burnt offering. Grant what is in your heart, fulfill your every plan. May we shout for joy at your victory. Raise the banners in the name of God. The Lord grant your every petition. Oh, and that's what I hope for you, my friends. May all that you offer him bring you, just fully alive and into what you're hoping for, and also making sure that what you are doing is his will, and that's where our happiness lies. All right, I wish you a beautiful July, and like I said, I'll be back with you in August. Be sure to check the show notes for all those important announcements and the goal planner link. Until then, let's get growing and keep blooming. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Keep Blooming. Tune in every Wednesday for a dose of hope and encouragement. You can find this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and Google and Apple Podcasts. To be the first to know about my upcoming retreats and latest offerings, be sure to hop onto my email list. Have a wonderful week, and remember to keep blooming.